Hello, and here we go with another Jiffy and Stubbsy podcast. We are clocking a few up now. A dual rugby code. Jonathan Davis is in South Wales. I'm in South West London. We have a very, very special guest joining us today. Just before we say hello, Jiffy, all okay? Progress report?
Just same as usual, really. It's a little bit further behind the rest of the UK on lockdown, but we're getting there somewhere. And all my daughters have descended me on this week, so I'm now in the house with 5 women. So I'm trying to get out as much as I possibly can. That's about it this week.
We have a very, very special guest joining us today, a sporting knight of the realm of cricket who stands in the ICC Hall of Fame, one of the greatest ever players, but also a leading administrator, a leading broadcaster. If we start to list all his achievements on the pitch, it will take ages. We're joined by Sir Ian Botham, who is also one of those unique sportsmen that play county cricket and league football for Scunthorpe United. Sir Ian, thank you for joining us. When I was growing up, that was a very unique little group of players that would play cricket in the summer, then sort of get out onto the pitch and play football in the winter. I seem to remember Chris Balderstone, Jimmy Coombs, fast bowler for Worcestershire, the goalkeeper for Tranmere Rovers. It was quite a group.
Yeah, don't say the Tranmere Rovers. He likes the Villa side of it, not Tranmere Rovers. But no, there was Phil Neal. Yeah, he played about 400, 500 games for Lincoln.
Did he? Oh,
he was down there forever. Who else was there? There was a few. Arnie Sidebottom.
Yeah. There's the other one. He had the rugby boys. Well, you had Alistair Hignell famously, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then he played for England in cricket and rugby. So, but you couldn't do it now, both, could you? Because I think the seasons are so structured, and coaches want their kind of pennies worth of you that you've got to make a call, which is kind of sad, really.
Yeah, well, I think the other thing as well, Jiffy, was that when we were doing it, there was no central contracts. So basically, your contract with Somerset in England expired at September and didn't start again until next April. So not one to sit around and do nothing. Scunthorpe was 15 miles up the road from where we lived in North Lincolnshire. And I went up there and said, come and do some training. A very good friend of ours who sadly passed away very young with a brain tumour lived in the same village as us, and I got to know him. And we went, he said, well, come up to Scunthorpe and do some training if you want. And Steve Earle and I potted up. Steve was playing in the first team, and I started training with the guys and signed the following week, professional terms. And,
well, it was interesting because Mark Lawrenson, who joined us last week, said he had the chance to join Lancashire. The 2 Neville brothers, apparently, I'm told, were incredibly talented cricketers. Was it an easy decision, Ian, to go cricket, or did you ever waver about football?
We obviously didn't see me play football, Stubbsy. But, no, I think I was a stopper. But, no, I think that... when you look at the Neville brothers, Philip in particular, I think, was the cricketer. I mean, it's a big decision to make, isn't it? You've got Lancashire County Cricket Club banging on the door, and then on this side of the door, you've got Man United. Yeah, it'd be a tough one to make that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So not like Scunthorpe, really, is it, Man United?
No. Excuse me, Scunthorpe, the mighty Scunthorpe. I'm president of the club now. So there you go. So Kath and I go pottering down to watch the games whenever we can, which is when I'm home most of the time. And I travel to the away game. So yeah, it's I love it.
That's great commitment. Travelling to away games, that's a huge commitment. That is.
Oh yeah, and when you think of Scunthorpe, Plymouth's a long way away. And but you make the most of it. We had some great times, and I continue doing it when I can. As soon as we get over this lockdown situation, and we can all hopefully, get on as much as we can with our normal lives.
I got to ask you before you go anywhere. What the knighthood was it? Was it for services to cricket or services to charity?
I think it was probably a combination.
Yeah.
In all honesty, 2007 seems a long time ago now, doesn't it? But yeah, it goes quickly. But no, I think it was a combination, Jiffy. I think it was acknowledgement of the charity work and also a bit of cricket, yeah.
Ian, do you get nervous on a day like that? Having been in the environment, a sort of top-class sporting environment, when on a day when you are made a sporting knight of the realm, does it generate nerves?
Do you know, I never really had problems with nerves throughout my career, but what it did generate, and it was the same when I played cricket, walking out of the field or playing football, was excitement. And I think that's a better word than nerves, to be honest, because I looked forward to the day. You can only take 3 guests. And so we took my 2 time grandsons, James, now with Cardiff, and Regan, who's actually making wine in Western Australia, following on from his granddad, take over the family business eventually. But no, so we went to, you drive in and you're all dressed up, and I took Kath as well. I thought I'd better take Kath. And then we went there, and you come into the palace, and I get immediately whipped away to be shown what to do, and the kids were there, and they had a ball. They're fascinated by the Gurkhas. First thing I got told was, "Oh, those swords can cut paper, Grandad." You know, so I thought, okay, they're enjoying it. And it was a great day out, and it was actually one of the proudest moments. And with the kids up there, the 2 grandsons and Cass sat there watching it. No, it was special, very, very special day. And then they looked after us very, very well at Lord's. They had a reception, which they did, and they organised and planned, and they invited about 400 friends from all different walks of life, including, which I liked, all the local friends here from the village and around. So it was quite a day out, and then we had dinner in the evening. So they made it a very special day. It's one I'll never forget.
Yeah. Were you in Buckingham Palace or Windsor Castle, or where were you?
Palace with the Queen.
All right, I had one, right. When I did the OB, we went to Windsor, and I took Jay and a couple of the kids with me, and we went for a walk on the night before, and we walked into this pub, and there was one of the special police retirement do, right, and he's Welsh. So we had we got steam in, me and my wife, and then we couldn't find our way back to the hotel, right? So the police picked us up, and then the policeman tweeted going, "Well, nice to meet you. Hope you got home safe." Next morning, the Daily Mail said I was picked up by the police, before my OBE. Bloody pathetic, isn't it? How it got spin. So, but I tell you, it's an amazing talent, Beef, when you can, instead of being nervous, you're curtailing it into excited, because it is, if you can do that, you're halfway there, because a lot of people it affects their performance because they get so nervous and they can't perform. So it must be, you must have really enjoyed your career then, if you're going into every battle excited rather than nervous.
I mean, I've been lucky enough to play in one of the great golf tournaments, the Dunhill, all but one, when I had surgery on my back. And you stand there and I look at these guys, and I've seen golfers get nervous stood at St Andrews on the first tee, pros, and I stood there and I'm thinking, I'm actually I'm eating it, I'm loving it and want to be there. And I remember one year they had this big screen down the right, and I was playing with Woozy, and we played for about 6 years together, and I hit this ball and pushed it to the right. And I thought, well, that's out of bounds. Great start. And it hit this big screen right in the centre. And it was like ripples going out in a pool. And the ball bounced back into the middle of the fairway. There you go. That's what King living, but Jiffy.
I'll tell you one story. But remember when you played in the Royal Glenneath and you ended up on the 18th in your pants and a bottle of brandy?
Yeah. We were in our pants from the second hole. And I tell you what, Stan's not a pretty sight in his underwear.
No, he's not. Another night, Sir Stan Thomas and Sir Ian Botham both pissed, drinking a brandy in their underpants in Royal Glenneath Golf Club in Max Boyce's charity day. Brilliant.
Oh, the greens were 3 foot deep with water. Don't forget that. The biggest downpour of all time. And the water was seriously waist high on one or two of the greens. So if you got it onto the green, the rule was you take 2 from there. So, and I said, well, I hit one quite close. And I said, no, I'm not. And so I got the putter and just pushed the ball into a hole. But no, it was an amazing day because everybody played through it. Seriously, some of the greens, 3 foot deep with water. And as Max says, royal beneath.
Royal beneath, I know. Bod.
Ian, was it the same? Ian, was it the same when you walked out to bat? Then every time you walked out to bat, you thought, "I'm looking forward to this." And is the way you walk out important?
Yeah, I think it's the way you walk at anything in life. If you walk in for a job interview and you walk in and you're cowering over it and you're very nervous and stuttering, I don't think that helps you. And I think you enjoy the moment. I think it's great to have an adrenaline rush and be pumped up, and I think that's what it was. And to be honest with you, I when I hear people saying, "Oh, the pressure," well, the pressure. Let's be honest about it. The pressure, if you don't like it, don't be in the kitchen. Pressure makes kettles whistle. It's not about. You want to be in that hot. You want to be in the hottest spot of the kitchen, and I loved it. That's what I played sport for those moments.
Did you? Who was the bowler that that gave you the most difficulty in?
There was about 12 of them over 4 years, all from the West Indies.
They
were all very tall and very quick. Yeah, and there wasn't too many helmets around either in those days. But no, they were. That was the greatest team that I ever played against. That West Indian side of the sort of late 70s through to the late 80s. They were absolutely brilliant. And I always found it quite amusing when the pundits would say, "Oh, well, of course they can't be the greatest side of all time. They haven't got a leg. They haven't got a spinner." And I looked at them and I thought, "Well, can you tell me when's the spinner going to bowl?" When you've got 4 guys coming in at 100 miles an hour, spinners don't get much time. So they were brilliant.
But he didn't have bad batsmen as well, did he? Then when you had like Clive and Sir Viv and because we used to watch like in the Swansea and the South Wales area, you had boys like Fredericks coming down here to play. Just watching them play was unbelievable. And all these local boys, giving them a few remarks, and then they were smashed for 160 and 40 overs. It was just unbelievable to watch them play. I watched Winston Davis, Ezra Mosley. Ezra Mosley played in a charity match. Played a charity match in a little village called Drevach, right? And his run-up, he came out, honest to God, he came out to the trees for the first ball of the day, right? He just sprinted out, played a forward defensive. Gareth Seymour was a quality batsman. Before he played the forward defensive, the stumps had gone, right? And Alan Jones, the captain of Glamorgan, went up to Ezra and said, "You got to come off for the 2-yard run-up, mate. This game will be over too fast." So you got a 2-yard run-up, and I still couldn't see the ball. He was unbelievable. Because I was scared. I played a bit of cricket. It's Neil Fairbrother told me when you didn't see the ball leave the hand, is that when you start to worry, both?
Yes, it's a good idea to watch the ball. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't see it come out, and then that was it. The next thing, Fairbrother told me, he hit him on the chin, and he was unconscious. But the cricket ball is so hard, isn't it? It does scare a lot. It does scare a lot of people, including myself.
Well, I think if you look at that era, it was probably quite remarkable that no one was seriously hospitalised or even worse, because they were quick, those boys, and they were magnificent as well. But you think of the sad occurrence with Philip Hughes in Australia, and a lovely lad as well. And it just shows you, doesn't it? But I have a little bit of a theory as well, though, that I think when you didn't have helmets, you tended to watch the ball a lot more because you want to try and get out of the way. Whereas when you got all the body armour on, helmets and chest guards and armour, I think you tend to just sort of hope it goes past you. And I think that's something that maybe players, perhaps the protection at times just gives them too much self-confidence. Or whereas I think that I'm not saying it's right to not to have helmets. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I'm pleased that players do wear them now, but I think it made you very aware when that ball was, when you were smelling the leather going past your nose end.
But that's the same. That's the same with rugby. I think with scrum caps, I say it's like sometimes I think it's like horses with blinkers on. I think they make them brave and they commit to tackles where instead of getting the technique right, they just want to smash people because they're exactly the same as what you're saying. They're indestructible because they got the armour on. So you've got to go with science and say, oh, it's helping concussion. But I agree with Ian. Sometimes you rely on your technique and watching things rather than the scrum cap.
Well, particularly in rugby. I mean, cricket, you're pretty much focused wherever you're looking,
Yeah.
whether you're a slip fielder and you're looking at the batsman, you're looking at the bat's edge, or if you're batting, you're watching the bowler. Whereas in rugby, you've got to be at least 180 degrees, because otherwise you're going to get smashed from over here or smashed from over there. So you've got to be aware. And I'll tell Jimbo that, because he wears one of those skull caps. So I'll mention it to him.
Yeah.
But no, I think it can give you that, that sort of extra confidence that perhaps sometimes can lead to your downfall.
Yeah.
Ian, football, rugby, cricket, all sports are planning their recovery from the pandemic. Can I ask you, I'm keen to hear what you think are the major challenges facing cricket going forward?
I think, Stubbsy, one of the things that has become extremely obvious to me is how much we love our live sport in this country.
Yeah.
People have been kicking shoes around and thinking, what am I going to watch? And they're watching old replays of games, and it's never the same. And I think it gives the country a lift. I really do. I think you've got something to focus on. If it's football, it might be if you're a Liverpool supporter, you're wanting to see that the Championship lifted up, Premiership rather, I should say, and it's the same in all sports. So I think live sport is crucial and important, just to the way we live our lives. And the sooner it all comes back safely, we've accepted that in cricket we will have biosecure grounds. We don't expect to be playing till August. The club, Durham, we don't expect to be playing until around August time. And then hopefully they can extend the season a little bit more, because September is always the best month in the country anyway. So they have ways and means to get around it. Just to get half a dozen games at least in would be great. And everything can be streamed. There's no excuse now. So if people can't get to it and you want to watch your team, just press the red button and you'll be seeing it being streamed.
How was it hit financially? Because everyone's saying like rugby and football in the middle of the season, so they had some kind of finances in. How has it affected cricket? Because right at the start of the cricket season, it's just decimated it, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, I think the furlough system helped a lot of clubs, helped us. 80%, and we as a club at Durham topped that up to 100% for the players. So some of those guys, particularly the younger players, are not earning fortunes, believe me. That 20% makes a big difference, and we as a club could wear that. Also, you get help from the government, we get help from the ECB, we get our payouts. So yes, I think we've coped with it. I think as far as I'm aware, most clubs have coped with it. Okay. Obviously, we all want to get back playing cricket, because that's what we do, and that's what players want. And I hope we get red ball cricket and not just white ball cricket, because there's a test series coming up, and players want to try and force their way into the test team. And equally, there's a World Cup T20 coming up in Australia in end of January, February, somewhere around there. So there's lots to play for, and lots of opportunities for young players to get to make a mark. And I can't even bear to think what I'd have been like if this had happened when I was 18, 19.
Oh, no.
It would have been unbearable. Well, I probably am now, but I would have been.
You'd have been an alcoholic.
yeah. Never an alcoholic, Jiffy. You only got a problem with alcohol when you haven't got any.
Ian, is there any news on the regional county competition that was being discussed? I read about there were some plans that were tentatively being made. Any news on whether that might happen? Because as you say, it would be good to have a little bit of a calendar coming back, so the counties would have something to look forward to.
Yeah, I think most of the clubs want to play all formats of the game, and they should be. They should be wanting that. It's all right financially. It might be a little bit. You're not going to make a profit, but there again, you've been paid well throughout the year. So I'd like to see some red ball cricket. I think there's a possibility of that in August, if everything stays as it is and we keep improving. That would be good, and I think the white ball cricket can be involved in that. We're going to play Test cricket in July, all right, behind closed doors, but we're playing it. So, yeah, I think we're moving in the right direction. The World Cup T20 has been put back until end of January, February, I think, in Australia. And I think it'll be, there's a lot to come. but I think it's quite important that we do get started this season at some stage.
I thought it was an excellent suggestion that you made that the new competition might be called the Bob Willis Trophy. Well done for suggesting that. I think that would be a terrific gesture from cricket.
Yeah, and also, Bobby, go back 10 years, 15 years ago, he was talking about a conference system where you'd have 3 lots of 6, and then you'd play, obviously in a full season, you play each other twice, etc., etc. But if you play each other once, and then the top 3 go through, and then maybe the best second place team in the 3 conferences goes through, you have a semi-final and a final. It just makes sense to get some excitement, adrenaline pumping, guys playing for a reason. There's no point in playing any cricket, whatever format, whether it's red or white ball, if it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
There's just no point whatsoever. So it's important that we do play sport, and we play competitive sport.
Yeah. I think that's really been forced, I think, on this lockdown, because you can show all the the old games. There's been rugby games on, cricket matches, football. The World Cup final '66 was on. But I think the reason people enjoy sport is because not like anything else. Like if you're a rock star or a film an actor, you know what you're going to do and you know what's going to happen. In sport, you can prepare, but then once the first ball is bowled or the first kick is taken, that's it. And everybody doesn't know what the result is. And I think that's what people have really, really missed. We've watched a couple of the old games, but you know the result. Sport's about not knowing the result.
You've got to remember, Jiffy, at our age, we perhaps don't remember all the scores from those years. So it's a new game. But no, I think, just going back to what Stubbs was saying there, I think it would be absolutely correct to name this the Bob Willis Trophy, because apart from anything else, everyone forgets over 300 wickets, his records there. We were partners in crime with the new ball for many years. I think it'll be a magnificent gesture to one of the great cricketers we've ever produced, and certainly one of the greatest quick bowlers we've ever produced. So I think it'd be nice, and I think it gives it a little bit more incentive, a little bit more magic. And so, I hope that happens. But I'm totally with you, Jiffy. The sooner we get the real thing going, the better. You can have all the replays in the world, but to be honest with you, you need. It's not the same. It's just not the same. It's nice to look back, a bit of nostalgia, but to be honest, it's nothing more than that.
And what I've enjoyed as well, is like I've watched a bit of a Bundesliga, and there's been no atmosphere there. With the Australian Rugby League, the NRL, they've actually dubbed the crowd on, and for a television viewer, it's so much difference, and then you appreciate what crowds bring and the atmosphere they create, and then I think that's what inspires players. I thought that a lot of the Bundesliga was flat and they weren't committed. Then you watch the NRL, it was a little bit of noise, and it made such a difference.
Well, I'll probably get something. If you see something coming across the room, hitting me on the head in a minute. Because I remember we were watching it the other night, the NRL, and my wife walked in and said, I didn't think they were having crowds. And I said, no, they're actually cardboard cutouts, and they turn noise. So, but I'm with you though, Jiffy. It's an ingenious idea. And also, they charge, if you want your mugshot and you want to be sitting there, I think it's $22 or something they charge per game. And they got over 5,000.
Such a difference.
Yeah, and they've just played all the right stuff at the right time. It really works. So there's a lesson to be learned.
Yes.
You could do that at any stadium without causing any problems. It takes a few loudspeakers and just someone cleverly edits the noise to go out at the right time. It would be a very, very clever move.
Yeah.
Ian, I'm not suggesting that it's different in this era or that era, but from your time working in broadcasting, I'm sort of just bringing up the subject of stats and analysis. The analysis and the stats that you have today at your fingertips in a commentary box, in comparison to when you were on the pitch playing. I guess you used to just work that stuff out for yourself without the computers, that you knew it was best to set a field for somebody that way, and you knew where people were, it's best to maybe bowl at them that way. So I'm just keen to hear your thoughts on the stats and analysis that are available now.
Well, never been particularly a stats man, I have to say.
Not me.
Actually, it doesn't really bother me that much because I think it's more about the end result. It's not about averages. It's not about what you've achieved. It's the circumstances when you've achieved it, how meaningful it is to the game and the team. Sometimes you sacrifice yourself because in the interest of getting quick runs, not looking for the not outs and to get the average up. That's something that never ever bothered me. And I think people can become a bit obsessed with it. It's one of I don't particularly like it all. I think it's nice to have everyone wants to know what the average is, and you can have an average and whatever, fine. But some of the stuff now, I find it confusing. But it's not a pet hate. But the only pet hate I have really in sport is sports psychologists. I find that very bizarre, but that's another story. But yeah,
some people need it. I think I'm same. I've never had a sports psychologist. I never, felt I needed one. So just keep your head down and run as fast as you can. That's as simple as that, really. So, but it is interesting because stats are there to help you sometimes, but to guide you. But I just think you do your own homework. If you're bowling at someone or running at someone, right? I know his strengths. I know his weaknesses. I know I'm quicker than him. If you have Mal Meninga in front of you, right? I'm not going to try and run over the top of him. You don't need a stat to tell me that, right?
Yeah.
You've got to try and run around him. As simple as that. I know he'll kill you.
There'd have been another stat. Yeah, Jiffy Davis is out for a long period of time. Sorry about that. Someone trying to. Sorry, phone. Cass intercepted it for me. But no, yeah. I think you stats and everything's great, and it's something that a lot of people enjoy, and I understand that side of it.
Yeah.
But when you're actually playing, I'm putting into the equation, what's the wicket doing? Is it swinging? Is it steaming around? Is it quick? Is it slow? Is it bounced even? These are the things you compute as a player at the time, and that's really what it's all about. And you adjust according to the conditions, and you play your game according to the state of the game as well. Sometimes there's a time when sometimes the best form of defence is attack, and then sometimes you've got to go into your shell and try and survive and bat out 2 hours. And the sad thing is that probably the crowd are a bit bored by then, and I know I would be bored with that stuff. So it's horses for courses, but you can only really you can have all the stats in the world. That's where you have to think on your own 2 feet with your team out there in the middle.
Who's the best batsman you bowled at? What?
Oh, the easiest question I ever get, that is Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards by a country mile.
So what? But that was that interesting because you knew each other so well. We played for Somerset. You were such good friends, right? When you saw him coming in to bat, because I loved the way you walked in a test match, shirt up to your chewing gum, swinging his bat. You talk about when you go for a job interview. He didn't have to get to the crease; he got the job already, right? That's the way he is, right? And then, because then, of course, he can flip a Glamorgan, and I just loved him because you knew him so well. Was it just more intriguing and more of a mental battle against him?
Look, we grew up together. We joined Somerset. We played our first games for Somerset, first-class games together. We started together our first-class career. So, I probably knew his game better than most, and he certainly knew my game better than most. But, the great thing was we were highly competitive when we played against each other. In fact, there was probably a bigger and more intense atmosphere with that than any other part of the game, because we both rose to the challenge. I wanted to get him out, and he wants to hit me out of the ground. And he did on many occasions. But, he just, the way that guy adapted to all formats of the game, whether it's a 20-over game, 40-over game, 50-over, 60-over, 5-day test, it didn't matter. 3-day game as they were in those days, it didn't matter. He could play it all. And I think one of the real players, there's 1 or 2 now that can do that. I think Steve Smith can do it for Australia. I think Virat Kohli can do it for India. I think Virat Kohli is the best thing that ever happened to Indian cricket. I think he's been brilliant for the country as well as a player. But and Viv did the same for the Caribbean, for the West Indies. The West Indies, they dominated for such a long period. And that was down to people like Viv, the characters in the side. But Viv, we shared a house for 10 years. We had ups and downs, but more ups than downs. If I wasn't I wasn't happy about something, or not playing as well as I could, or when I had the captaincy and things weren't going brilliantly, he was the first guy to come around, knock on the door, sit down, and we'd have a chat and have a glass of rum or a glass of wine, whatever, red wine, whatever, and sit there and enjoy the moment and talk to each other. And that still goes on now. If I didn't see Viv for 10 years and he walked into the room now, it'd be like we've been there together for 10 years. That kind of relationship. He's godfather to Liam, my son, and all the kids call him Uncle Viv, which I find quite amusing.
Uncle Viv.
Yeah. But it's a very close relationship. It always will be, and one that I cherish, and I believe he cherishes it as well. So, yeah, great times. I'm privileged to have grown up with him, privileged to watch his career grow, and I know he'd say the same about me. So.
Ian, I would imagine the bonds that you that develop from your teammates down the years, and it strikes me that a cricket dressing room is a unique place, and for a cricketer, just you deal with it in your way, other people deal with it in their way, just getting yourself straight for how you deal with what is expected of you. I'm keen to hear what you think about a cricket dressing room and the way you all interact with each other.
Everyone's different, and that's the first thing you've got to understand in any dressing room. It doesn't matter if it's cricket, rugby, football, whatever. You've got to remember that everyone else does their own thing. Some people like to watch every ball. Some guys like to have a sleep, doze if they're not going to be directly involved for a few hours, just pass the time. Some guys like to read. Other guys fool around. They go on physiotherapy, or they might go whatever. And you've just got to respect that. No two players are ever really the same. You've got some that get close, but so one of the problems I found as a captain, and that's why probably I was much better sergeant major or lieutenant than I was captain, and that was because I didn't understand and couldn't come to terms with the fact that I've just watched a guy drop the simplest of catches, and I meant to walk up and pat him on the back and say, "Don't worry about it." Like hell. I can assure you that's the last thing I said to him. It might have been hell in it, but there would have been a few other things around it.
Yeah, but that's when the vice captain comes after you and goes, "Don't worry what he said, just try your best next time." That's what it's all about, isn't it?
And then you kick the vice captain up the backside for that as well. Yeah. So no, I found that quite difficult as a captain to come to terms. I suppose you set your own standards, and I don't. And the other thing I always think is, if I've just dropped something, the last thing is I need someone telling me, "Oh, never mind, bad luck." Yeah. What's going on in my head? What have you just done, you bloody idiot? So everyone's different and different makeups, and I think that's why Clive Lloyd did so well as the captain of the West Indies. Very difficult. Mike Brearley, who had a degree in people, probably wouldn't get picked nowadays because he wasn't a good enough player. But as a captain, he was magnificent. He got the best out of the players around him. So you can go through it now, but nowadays you've got to be able to hold your own, and I think that. Michael Vaughan did a great job. I think Nasser Hussain, probably in modern times, probably the best captain we've had, because he took over a side that was completely rock bottom, just lost to everybody. Zimbabwe, Bangladesh, anyone that turned up, we were losing to, and he took over, and he had to be quite ruthless. And I think what he did and achieved, people perhaps don't understand. But for me, in modern times, probably the best England captain they've had. And then if you go back in time, then Mike Brearley would probably have been in that different era. But you can keep going back forever. But they're all different. Captains are different. Circumstances are different. The way you play the game's different. So you've got to put all those factors in. But modern times,
and I think cricket as well, Ian, is like I think people underestimate how much time cricketers spend together. It's not only on the field. It's off the field, travelling. I was always jealous of Beef because every time I saw him, he was looking healthy and like suntanned, and I was looking, like a pasty West Walian. Like, he follows the sun around the world, and I'm in the winter. So, but we're away for short tours. They're away for long spells, and that's very difficult. That has its own challenges as well.
Yeah, and Jiffy, I remember us having that conversation years ago, and I just said, I love New Zealand. You said, New Zealand, every time I go there, it's peeing down, and it's cold, and miserable, and it's dark. I've never seen that side of New Zealand. All I've ever seen from New Zealand is just sunshine, great rivers to fish, great golf courses, great wines, restaurants. So
I get your point.
But no, definitely in the cricketing world, when you're away for 5 months, and nowadays the players get looked after. They fly their wives out at least twice for big long tours. We had to scrape around and share rooms and then save up and get the wives over. We did a tour of Australia and we had the family over because it was just a bad time to be around with everything that was going on with the media, etc., etc. And it actually cost me money to pay for England, because what I got paid did not cover the hotel and flights for the family, etc. But I wouldn't have changed it, because our room became the team room, and that was '86 when we actually were written off by everybody in Australia, and we won everything. Everything that was thrown our way, we won. There's test series, one-day series. There was a 50-over competition because of the America's Cup, so all the teams were there. And that was one of probably the best tours of all time. But it is difficult when you're away for a long time.
We used to try and find a telephone, because we used to pay for our own telephone calls back home. So we used to scour the hotels, and any phone that was unmanned, we'd jump on it, right? And I remember we were leaving one hotel in New Zealand, and we'd all paid our bills and everything. And the manager came on and said, right, someone's had used a phone in the manager's office. I want you to own up. Nobody owns up. And next thing, someone says, look, we got the number now. So unless you own up, we're going to read the number out. No one owns up. And next thing he goes, right, number is 01 222 666 543. And Mark Ring jumps up and goes, who's been ringing my fucking wife?
Brilliant.
Ian, they played the '66 World Cup final back on the TV at the weekend, the replay of England-West Germany 1966. Do you look back at stuff? Do you look back at some of the great moments you were part of, and do you have any sort of pecking order? I'm assuming that you might see things, you probably see things differently than we do. There might be a little moment that we don't clock, and you will understand the significance of it.
Well, I just mentioned '86 when we went to Australia. That was one of the great, just everything was great about that tour. The families, the kids, the atmosphere, the team room. We got this suite. No wonder it cost me a fortune. But every hotel, and we had there, we had the team. We had 4X was supplying us with beer. Lindeman's at the time were putting wine in the room, and everyone just converged there. And it was the party. And everybody, even during the games, they come in just a quiet 5 minutes. In hotels, sometimes you can't get that. You go down the lobby, someone wants to ask you a question, someone wants this, someone wants that. So this team room became very important, and we had a great time up there. And everybody just enjoyed themselves. So yeah, obviously '81 changed my life. '86 I enjoyed. I'm still want to get a £40 salmon, so that's on my agenda. So there's a lot of things to look forward to as well. A hole-in-one on the golf course, never achieved that.
Haven't you had one yet?
No, never. I've broken the hole, I've hit the pin, I've done all sorts. And
what's your handicap now?
Oh, well, if I'm playing against you, Jiffy, a lot, because I know what a cheat you are. So, but no, it's a great game, golf. Keeps you competitive, but do you know, you've got to have things that you want to do, keep going and look forward and get all pumped up about. But I'm playing golf this afternoon. Played against Liam yesterday. We halved, sadly. But not that I'm competitive, and not that he's competitive. No, these are the little things that keep you going. But do you know what? My first ever game for Scunthorpe, always remember that, because then I played on Boxing Day against Hull City at the old Boothbury Park, full house. marking Billy Whitehurst, one of the hardest men in football, and next day flying to the West Indies to captain England. And that went down well with the authorities, but no central contracts. But no, lots of things you remember for different milestones. You know, playing that first class game with Viv, both of us will never forget that. There's all kinds of milestones. I get a bigger buzz now once I stop playing was to watch Liam play when he was playing.
Yeah.
And now going down and watching my grandson. And you know, it was a big year for him, I think, this year. That everyone's being pushed back because of coronavirus. But you know, he's itching to get going. You can imagine that, you know, just turned 22 and you want to play sports. So I love going down and watching him. Cardiff and I have always had an affiliation anyway with a lot of friends down there. And Glenheath, the city, the capital of Wales, Royal Glenheath Golf Course, and Max and everybody. So a lot of good friends down there. And, you know, I enjoy travelling and I enjoy doing that kind of thing and catching up. Like this with Jiffy now. We could probably go on for about 3 weeks.
I know.
But no, it is. You've got so many special moments in your life. I always like to think there's a better one to come.
Ian,
on that boss,
Ian, your fundraising has been absolutely phenomenal. Is it accurate that you took a wrong turn in the hospital and went into the
No.
And that sparked your involvement? Is that
no? Yeah. I didn't take a wrong turn. I had to go through there to get to the physio department. So I'd broken a bone in my foot against the Australians. No, I didn't take the wrong turning. There wasn't another wrong turning to take. It was one corridor in. But that's how it all started, because I saw the kids and you know, kids that are obviously ill. You can see they're in traction or they've got tubes sticking out of them, whatever. And these kids were just sat around a board, playing a board game on a table. And I've asked the doc what was going on. Are they just visiting? And he said, no, these kids are seriously ill. And that's when I first heard of leukemia. Never heard of it before. So, yeah, so that's how it all started. We did 17 walks. And one of the great things is the family were involved in all the walks, perhaps the first one. Either organising it, walking it, so it became much of our lives. So, and also lots of other events, golf days, etc. We're still doing it now.
It's phenomenal.
And also, but you did because you did, you know, not only walks in the UK, you know, you did walks in Sri Lanka and all over the place, didn't you?
Yeah, that was hot. Sri Lanka.
I can imagine.
Yeah, we were involved in Wales, where we did the
Noah's Ark
appeal. Helped that, which was great fun. And dear old Stan, I always remember, he said, took me to this luncheon and said, by the way, Beefy's going to do a walk for us. Now, that was the first I heard about doing a walk in Wales, right? So he announced it to all these people at this luncheon. So I just turned around and said, okay, Stan, that's great, but it's going to cost you a few weeks on your yacht.
Yeah,
and
lovely. Good deal.
Sold the yacht for 6 weeks. And I got this phone call from Stan, Beefy, do you mind if I have my boat back now?
I tell you what, you can't underestimate how difficult those walks are, because I did a couple of the legs with Beef and Kath and everyone, right? Sarah, his daughter. I tell you, I walked. I think I walked Chepstow to Cardiff. I think I did, right? And the pace that he walks, I got shorter legs anyway, so I'd walk, say, half a mile, and after a mile, I'd have to jog about 250 yards to catch the front up again. And I remember Rupert Moon walked. And he had to be carried off. He had to be carried. No, he's an international rugby player. Yeah. He got carried off the last 3 miles, and they had to pick him up in an ambulance. And it was so difficult. You know, I think an amazing achievement. You know, considering, you know, everything, the distance, what you did day in, day out. You know, the organisation, everything. It was just, after doing a couple of legs, it was just a magnificent effort, because it was so difficult.
What about Trek with the elephants? Oh my word!
That was great fun, because they're very bright animals, I have to say, and they bond very quickly with you. And they would actually follow me. So they only did half a mile or so out of the town. Then they got taken to the end of the walk. They spent the day rolling around in underneath the Alps and the fields. And then I'd come there, and they'd walk the last half mile into the village with me But the problem was, because they walked with me, so when I walked through these little narrow streets in these villages, it was like a shopping spree for these elephants. They just walked through and just hoovered up anything and everything, fruit, everything food-wise. So I had to have the walk manager at the back wedging out this money to pay for what they'd just eaten. And then you got to you always go into the little Lord Mayor's place, and you go up the stairs in this little parlour, and you have it all laid out. You know, some cheese and wine and everything for the end of the day. Well, of course, I'd go in. Next thing I knew, the 3 elephants were coming up the steps with me as well. So we'd go into this poor old Lord Mayor's going, oh, and they're just hoovering everything up. But that was a fantastic walk, and it was very challenging, because you imagine going up into the Alps and crossing the Pyrenees over to go into Turin. Starting off the Pignon and going to Turin was quite a hike, and the elephants saw snow on the top for the first time ever, and that was hilarious. They were like school children, rolling in it, throwing it over me. It was a wonderful walk, and never ever forget that. But on the Welsh Walk, Jiffy, just flashing back to me when you mentioned about Rupert, what about Jack, Max Boyce, right? He came along the walk, and he was off to Dubai. He was doing some shows in Dubai. So he came along a couple of days before he was due to fly out. He turned up, he started walking in golf shoes because he thought they'd be more comfortable. And anyway, I don't know what he ended up in, slippers or something, but I had to push him on one of those Tesco supermarket trolleys as I went past. I had to push him in this trolley to the end. Then he was in his room, and I went down to see him the next morning, and he was there. And he's lying in bed, and there's glass on the floor. And I looked up. He said the only way he could turn the light off, he couldn't get out of bed, was to get his shoe and throw it at the light. But he got on the plane to Dubai 2 days later and came off. And you can imagine being the promoter. He's got this Max Boyce over here to do these shows for all these people in Dubai, and he comes off in a wheelchair. Comes off the plane in a wheelchair. And then Stanley came on the walk. He did 3 miles and had 4 heart attacks.
Yeah. And then joined for the last 50 yards in his white shell suit. You got it, Jiffy. You remember? Shocking.
I think he had the last shell suit that was ever made.
You put it in the museum.
Yeah. Good memory there, Jiffy.
I know. Oh no, you can't unsee that.
No.
One of the things you can never unsee is Sir Stan in his shell suit. No thanks. Never again.
And with Klecker driving the Rolls Royce behind, so when he collapses, you can put him in the back of the Rolls.
Ian, where did your great affection for wine, where did that kick off? Because
I was 17 when I first started to find out about wine, and that was from the great late John Arlott. And John introduced me to wine, and then he lived in Alderney. We ended up buying a place in Alderney just down the road. And my first job every morning was to go in and take the wines. So every day the wines arrived from France for him to write about and to give a verdict on. So my job was to take it down to the cellar, and then I had this little wicker basket that held 6 bottles, and I'd bring it up. He'd tell me what he wanted me to bring up, and I'd go and put them in there, take them up, and we'd start tasting at about 10 o'clock in the morning. And he taught me about wine, and that went on for years. So, yeah, I had about 40-odd years of practice before I actually got into it and started blending my own wines.
And where's that being done? Is that being done in Western Australia? Well, as you said,
we're all over. We're in Western Australia, at Margaret River and Howard Park. We blended the wines there a few months ago. My eldest grandson, Regan's still there working at the winery. And so they do the Chardonnays for us, Margaret River Chardonnays, which we blended with Janice, the head wine maker there. And then we go down to Western Australia, we go over to the Eastern Bloc. So you've got Victoria, we do some wine in Victoria. South Australia, quite a lot, do the blendings there. So those are the principal ones really there. And then New Zealand, down in Central Otago for the Pinots, and now we're doing the Malbecs out of Argentina.
Nice.
So So it's something I should have done years ago, to be honest, because I wanted to do it, wanted to get involved, and the opportunity came with Paul, my business partner, and it's been fantastic. It's been a great journey, and the one thing I always say is I wouldn't put a wine in a shop unless I would drink it on my own table at home, and that's what we did. So yeah, we really enjoyed doing it, putting it together. We're expanding. We've got the Malbecs now. I'd like to do some Rioja out of Spain. I like, the only place there's only two things I haven't done, and that's I haven't done anything out of France. We've got rosés and sparkling and still out of Hush Heath down in Kent. So we're doing that. We've got it's just been a great journey, to be honest, and just getting. We're doing well. We're getting nice reviews. The problem was that you have to convince people this is not a celebrity wine, which I hate.
No, I know. Yeah.
And no, this is wine that we source, I blend, and we bottle it and we put it out there. So it's all our product. So once we find the wine, then I blend it, and then it comes over here. We've got tanks coming over from New Zealand, Australia, Argentina at the moment.
Have profits gone up in lockdown? Because I think my cost has gone up.
Well, I'm going to say that's more like it, Jiffy. Yeah, I think your weekly intake's gone up. But no, I think generally online sales have gone up something like 40%. I think during lockdown. Not just us, but I mean across the board.
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies out there, a lot of competition. But it's a great world, the wine world. It's quite a small world, and you get to know. Someone just had the audacity to wake up my old Jack Russell. But we've had a lot of fun doing it, Jiffy, to be honest, and I hope I can keep on doing it for many more years to come.
Time has just about beaten us. Sir Ian, we all say this. What are you watching on television?
Actually, I'm watching on Amazon Prime, watching, I think, The Man in the High Castle, The Man in the High Castle.
Okay.
And it's very interesting on Amazon Prime. There's we're on series 3. I have to check with.
And what's that about?
It's as if Japan and Germany had won the war. It's set in 1962 in America. Majority of it. It is fascinating.
Man in the High Castle.
Yeah, The Man in the High Castle. Amazon Prime. You won't be disappointed. It becomes quite compulsive, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Oh, good. I'll watch that.
Someone told me to watch something called The 13th. Anyone heard anything about that?
I've heard about it. I'm not sure. If it's scientific film or something, I'm not a big fan of those, unfortunately.
Don't know, Jiffy. Don't know.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, they're a bit scary. Alien and Predator and things like that.
It's just crap there.
I can see you just appearing over the back of the settee.
So Ian, magic wand time. Magic wand. If you could wave a magic wand and do something for cricket going forward, what would it be?
I think for cricket, I think we need to make our championship more competitive. I like the idea of having the three teams of 6 teams in the conference. And I like the idea of making it special. I think the idea of having a semi-final and then a final, I think that's really going forward. It's a little bit of taking a little bit from Australia there with the Sheffield Shield, where you have the final match, the big final. I think that would be good. I don't want us to get too obsessed with T20. I think T20 has got a place in the game. It's a great way of introducing kids to it. But at the end of the day, for me, Test cricket is the flagship, and if we ever lose that, then the game of cricket as we know it will disappear. So I'd like to see Test cricket go forward, and whether they bring in some form of championship. I know they're talking about it, there's stuff going on now, but it's all been derailed a bit with the virus. But no, there's lots of things we can do. There's a lot of talented cricketers out there. I'd like to see teams be more competitive, and I think that's important. That's why I like the conference setup, because you're always in it. You're never out of it.
Do you like the idea of the 100?
I think the 100 is a great idea, and I think it's nice to have something new for the supporters and the players to get their teeth into. And I think it's good. I like the concept. It's different. You've got to think out of the box a bit, 10 ball over at the end. So yes, I'm all for it. I think if you can continue to just freshen up the game that you've got and add a few things that are good and constructive, it's important. So yeah, I'm very happy with that, and I think we need to keep progressing in that direction.
Time has beaten us. Massive thanks to Sir Ian Botham, Sporting Knight of the Realm. Ian, thank you for talking to us today. We do appreciate it. As always, Jiffy, take care, stay safe.
Yeah, before you go now, boss, when you come down, we'll have a game of golf, watch Jimbo play for Cardiff, and then go and have dinner and some wine somewhere. It'll be a good day.
Well, sounds like a normal day with you, Jiffy, to be honest. But yeah,
nothing's normal when you're there, mate. Let me tell you.
All I can remember is that little French restaurant we used to go to, and I remember
La Galwa.
Yeah, Galwa. I remember you actually falling into a cab a couple of times there.
Oh yeah, I know.
We had some great times, mate. We're getting maxed out just for.
That's what life's about, and I think you appreciate it more after lockdown. Is just life is not a rehearsal, mate.
No, we need to get Gramps, Max,
he won't come. No.
myself, and we'll go out there and cause a bit of chaos. It'd be great. I look forward to it.
We will do.
Guys, stay safe. Take care. Jiffy, great to see you.
Cheers, boys. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Cheers, brother. Regards to all the family.
Cheers, all. Bye-bye.
Take care. Take care. And thanks for listening to Jiffy and Stubbsy. Hope you'll join us again. Please hit the subscribe button.